Yo, what's up guys, it's Tat, and today I wanted to make a video talking about the meta in Dead by Daylight and the various perks on both sides that I believe are in need of some changing. There's actually quite a few that I think could be getting a couple of changes. Mostly killer perks actually. I'd say about a third of this entire video, maybe even less, like a quarter, is going to be survivor perks, and the rest will be all killer perks. There's a lot more problematic stuff on killer side than survivor side. That's a hard pill to swallow when it comes to perks. Obviously medkits and stuff are broken as shit, but when it comes to actual perks, I think that killer has way more oppressive perks in general, and I would like to have bit of a video here showcasing a couple ideas that I have for them. So I'm going to start with survivor perks, and then we'll dedicate the rest of the video to killer perks because it's way easier for me to go through the survivor perk changes than the killer perk changes. It takes less time. So let's start with adrenaline. Simple change. It just doesn't wake up a sleeping survivor anymore. It's a little weird that it specifically affects Freddy. Now I get it. It's like a lore kind of nod to the Nightmare on Elm Street films, but yeah, this is a video game, game balance over lore. Any day of the week, it does not need to also wake up a sleeping survivor. Its effects are already good enough. It doesn't need, to specifically counter one killer. Autodidact. This is going to be a nice one because I know that there are a handful of autodidact enjoyers out there, and that is just, it increases the skill check trigger odds by 20%. So now, when you're healing someone else, you have a higher chance of actually getting a skill check. Thus, you can get your tokens. Pretty simple change. Boon Dark Theory. This one's a little scary, but I think it'd be fine. That is just, in addition to its current effects, it also increases vault speed by 10%. So if you're in range of the boon, you can vault a little faster. You move 2% faster. Yeah, I think it would be fine, personally. But, that would be like a wait and see. I know with Resilience, it would be, what, 19% extra vault speed? I still think that would be okay. Dance With Me. This is a really easy one. I would just increase the effect's duration to 5 seconds, up from 3 seconds. Dead Hard. Okay. So Dead Hard got reworked in the 6.1 patch, and it's better. It's in a much more healthy state, but it is still uncounterable in many situations. It still is a lose-lose situations. So I think that rather than just overhauling the perk again, I think it would actually just make way more sense to have it only work once per trial. Only if you successfully avoid a hit. If you use Dead Hard and you get exhausted and the killer downs you, and you got absolutely rolled, then you can like trigger the perk again and again and again. But if you Dead Hard, the killer hits you and you get away because of that with endurance, then it will become disabled for the rest of the game. So you can't reproc a third health state multiple times if you've already done it before and it got, a benefit from it. So that's what I would change. Decisive Strike, a simple change, just buff the stun time to 4 seconds, up from 3. I was thinking about having the perk work multiple times a game, but having a 3-second stun time, and I thought this would be safer and less risky. I just think that Decisive is in need of serious help because, my god, dude, Off the Record has killed Decisive Strike. There's almost nobody who uses this perk. It needs a little bit of help. Distortion, I think, is actually a little bit too strong, and simple change here, it just does not regenerate tokens while in chase. If you didn't know, it does not actually work like Stakeout, which is something I found out literally this week. It does not stop gaining tokens while in chase, which means that effectively you're just immune to ore reading the entire game, which is kind of stupid. So if the survivor actually wants to get their tokens back, they have to do it outside of chase. They have to be within the terror radius and not in chase, just like Stakeout. And to round out the survivor perks, we do have a rework to Slippery Meat, one of the worst survivor perks in the game, and what it does now is each time you are unhooked, gain a token. Each token increases your wiggling speed by 10%. After escaping the killer's grasp by any means, a token is consumed. So if a survivor pallet saves you, you wiggle out, the killer drops you, and you get it free that way, whatever. Decisive strike, right? Anything that gets you out of the killer's grasp will consume one of these tokens. So you can't abuse it for long, if it's even abusable. And I think it's a pretty good update to what is a very useless perk. On to the killer perks. Like I said, this is significantly longer, so bear with me here. Beast of Prey. This is going to get a complete rework. After chasing survivors for a total of 40 seconds, this perk becomes activatable. Press the active ability button to gain the undetectable status effect for the next 10 seconds. Beast of Prey deactivates once the duration elapses. So an on-command undetectable, I think that would be kind of cool. There would be lots of builds built around that. The idea here is just to get something fun, not necessarily oppressive, but just kind of fun, because a lot of killer perks focus more on just insane amounts of slowdown, and I don't like that. And so rather than making this some weird like chase perk, I decided to make it a weird fun perk that revolves around the chase that has lots of synergy with other killers and other perks. So yeah, Bloodhound, a little bit of a slight rework to it, but it still does its other effects where like you can see blood a little easier and the blood pools last longer. And in addition to those things, it will now also inflict hemorrhage whenever a survivor loses a health state. Not mangled, it's not like Sloppy Butcher, but it will put on hemorrhage so that you can have more blood pools and get better value out of Bloodhound. So you don't have to use Bloodhound and Sloppy Butcher just to see the blood pools. It's now just in its own thing. Blood Echo. To make the perk a little bit more feasible on other killers and a little bit more activatable, I'm just removing the cooldown so that every time you hook a survivor, it triggers for 45 seconds. Yeah, pretty simple change. Call of Brine. I'm sure a lot of people have been waiting for this one. Did you know that Call of Brine will actually apply to every generator that you kick for 60 seconds? Yeah, it's kind of broken. So now it will only apply to a single generator at a time. So if you kick 2 gens, the last gen you kick gets Call of Brine. It doesn't keep stacking onto other gens. So you can only have one instance of Call of Brine active at a single time. So yeah, I think that would be a decent nerf. Deadlock, we're just lowering the duration to 20 seconds down from 30. It blocks gens for way too long. The killer doesn't even have to do anything. They just exist and a gen gets blocked. Not cool. Eruption, slight rework. I'm copying Choi and more or less taking inspiration from Choi because this is a really good idea. But I've added on to it. So after damaging a generator, its aura is highlighted in yellow. Whenever survivors put in the dynasty by any means, the affected generator explodes, instantly losing 8% progress, down from 10, and becomes blocked by the entity for 25 seconds. No more incapacitated, it will instead only block the gen. I think this would actually solve all of the problems with Eruption and would make the perk way less annoying. Yeah, it still blocks that gen, but now you can actually heal yourself. Go Blessed Totem, open a chest, pick up a dropped item, do something productive instead of just kind of twirling your thumbs for 25 seconds, which it currently does with Incapacitated, which, yeah, not cool. So this new version still keeps the perk strong, but makes it less obnoxious, which I think is really the thing to do with Eruption. Dying Light. New effect, completely reworked it. After hooking a survivor, the aura of the obsession is shown to you for 4 seconds, and you gain a 10% haste status effect for the next 10 seconds. I think this would be nice. It would also help killers who don't have map mobility. I think this would kind of make Dying Light used way more often, and potentially you could stack it with some weird killer perk that I'm not seeing, but I think it would be cool. Actually, what you could do is you could use Dying Light with Beast of Prey. I just realized that right now. That's kind of cool. You could be undetectable and move 10% faster after hooking someone. Like, cause Beast of Prey allows you to like trigger its effect whenever you actually want it. So like you could get a speed boost, and then while you have the speed boost and you're going through the obsession, you can then trigger undetectable, so that they don't know you're. Oh, that's so cool. That's actually cool. I just came up with that. That's awesome. Fire Up. Slight buff, it now also affects your hooking speed. So every time you get a token, It applies to, like, uh, picking up survivors, kicking gens, all that kind of stuff. Now it also applies to your hooking speed. So when you're hooking a survivor, that bar turns yellow. And dude, yellow bar go burr. Overcharge, I am nerfing this perk so that now its initial regression speed starts at 50% rather than 75. So it's a little slower. That's it. That's all I did. Then we got two reworks back to back. You guys are gonna love these. Predator is getting a rework, the perk that literally nobody uses unless they're like doing a weird gimmick build from like a Twitch build request. Completely new effect, got reworked. Survivor scratch marks are 50% brighter. Whenever a survivor stops running, they continue to leave scratch marks for an additional 3 seconds. Yo, I would love this. This would be nice. This would be very nice. Mostly because of just the scratch mark brightness, because there's lots of maps where scratch marks are hard to see on. But the extra effect of it also making it so that scratch marks continue to be left by a walking survivor for a few seconds, that would be clutch to have in some situations. And finally, we've come to the end of it. The last perk that I would change at this point in time is Thanatophobia. New effect, got a rework. While a survivor is hooked, all other survivors receive a 10% penalty that applies to repairing generators, sabotaging hooks, and cleansing or blessing totems. This effect stacks for each additional hooked survivor. So now, Thanatophobia, it has two problems, right? The first is that the slowdown is not very useful. It's 2%, it sucks, who cares? The second problem is there's only 2 killers in the game who can use it, Plague and Legion. This rework solves both of those problems. 10%, that's kind of noticeable. And it stacks, so if you have 2 survivors on the hook, that's 20%. And because it's based off of while a survivor is hooked and not who is injured, every killer can benefit from it. So this is just, I think, an amazing rework to Thanatophobia. Maybe I'm up my own ass, but I think that this is a pretty good idea. So those were my perk changes, the meta perk changes in Dead by Daylight, and trying to shake things up a little bit, provide some new options, and lower the effects and strengths of other things. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any additional perks that you think would be cool to have changed. And that is all I have to say for now. I wish you all the best and have a great day.